Well, good morning, folks. I'm Joe Wesley, and
How's it going, everybody? Lizzy Gabor.
thank you for joining us. For those of you who've been visiting us from before, you kind of know we start a little bit early to share some background information with you, and including our commercial break things. So here we go. Thanks for visiting us again. Those who've come back. For those of you who are new to us, thanks for visiting us. We'd like to remind you several things. Please, you can look at us through YouTube, you can look at us through Facebook, you can look at us through LinkedIn, either now if you're here or later in the day if you're not. How's that for some smartness? We do remind you that if you look at us through YouTube, please sign in to your Google or YouTube account so you can leave comments in either instance. And the comments we're looking for: do you support? Do you not support? Do you agree? Do you not agree? Share us with other people. We're always trying to make this better. For those who are visiting us for the first time, the format is I'm a left brain kind of guy and proud of it. Whereas Lizzy is more of a right brain, creative minded, spiritual persona. None of that makes any sense to me. But the reason we're having this dialogue is because a caption of hers caught me that mindfulness can provide you a more healthier, more fulfilled lifestyle, more successful for those who are business focused. Well, that kind of grabs at me, but I'm not sure how this stuff works. So we have unrehearsed 15-minute scenarios every, what is this, Thursday morning, yes? 8
Mhm.
o'clock Eastern time, barring holidays. And I try to ask questions that make sense to me. I'm still not buying it, but she works hard at it. Her people say she's very good at what she does. So what we do though is I do choose a topic, and I do that. I share that with her to give her some hope and help on this concept. And really, the my concept of mindfulness, and today's we're talking about stress. And I have this thing that I stare. I guess I'm supposed to stare at this blank wall and maybe hum to myself, and it just put everything out of my brain: happy, good, indifferent, whatever it may be, including stress. And my concern is, does mindfulness block all stress? Now you might ask, why is that an issue? Because I've heard people say that they function best when they're under stress. So my question is, does mindfulness kind of walk away from that? And really the topic is, can mindfulness create healthy stress, block bad stress? Let me stop rambling and see what Lizzy has to say to this.
Okay, let's get started here. So actually, mindfulness is an amazing tool to help people when they're under stress, under uh, whether it be extreme stress because they're doing something physical that could be challenging and potentially dangerous,
Mm-hmm.
or if it's a mental activity, whether they're going into a big meeting and they have to really perform at the highest level.
Mm-hmm.
So it's actually, when you are actually right there, you're not thinking about, is this going to go wrong? Am I going to fall off the cliff if I'm a rock climber,
Yeah.
or if I'm gonna be able to remember what I want to present effectively in a meeting, or
Mm-hmm.
handle whatever um, topic it is at work. But it's so the idea is, do we have the resources that we have, whether it's physical or mental, if
Mm-hmm.
they equal or are greater than the demands of the activity, we can handle those challenges, and we handle them by being present, by being mindful. But if the resources, like say we're going into a test and we didn't study, or going into a meeting and we're not prepared, so we don't have the resources, that's where the stress can be overwhelming, and we can end up either falling off the cliff or performing not well at a meeting. So it's really about, and so where the mindfulness comes in is, I mean, it's, again, when I first learned about mindfulness, I did it through these challenge. Well, some of it was through meditation, but some of it was through challenge activities where we had to climb up a pole and stand on top, and the pole's shaking. And if you're not present and really thinking about where your hand's going to go next, and your foot,
Well,
again,
excuse me. I'm thinking of the
yeah.
pole shaking. That I might slide down. I mean, that's my. You just mentioned I'm at the pole and just they're shaking it back and forth. I mean, how can I unpresent
Which is
that? I mean, that's.
causing more stress in your in maybe, but it's activating also my hyper focus, so that I stay in it. to win it, to not fall off. So,
Right.
and it was, those really were mindfulness activities, because it's like you need to stay present, and so it's
Well,
training yourself,
I'm going to
training.
interrupt. I'm going
Yeah.
to interrupt. I hear the word needs to stay present, but for a guy like me who's pure left brain, what does that mean to stay present? I don't understand the concept.
So you're not in overwhelm, you're not in over, where you're, you might get it, you might be excited, you might, I like to say when people are stressed, really just turn that word around and say, I'm excited about this event or this thing I'm going to walk into, this this party, this meeting. And the butterflies and some of those physical responses are the same for when you're
Mm-hmm.
excited, or when you're think that it's stressful, you're,
Okay.
or nervous. And
Right.
so it's almost a little bit of a mind hack to be like, you know what, this is, I'm just excited about this thing. So, again, it's takes some training, and and where with those mindfulness practices like meditation, or I mean, whatever those activities that you can do, like dancing or walking in nature or going for a walk or even a run, that can, that can teach you how to get back to center, because it's not, we can handle periods of stress. People have stressful jobs, but if they're able to handle it and they know what they're doing, it's okay. It doesn't affect their bodies in the same way as the stress that is, caused by worry, and
Well,
worry about what's happening. And go ahead.
well, you kind of lost me on that. You said we can handle stress. Well, yeah, my blood pressure goes up. I start sweating. I'll start stuttering. I got to rush to the bathroom. It's more like it's handling me more than I'm handling it. So again,
I think
rephrase
if
that.
we recognize that that's okay, oh, this is what's happening. This,
Mm-hmm.
so it's, again, it's like appraising what's happening in your mind, what's happening, and oh, this is okay. So I can still perform, because I know what's happening inside of me, and it's normal. It's a
Mm-hmm.
normal, thing to feel that way if, say, you're going up and making a speech, and you just kind of get, and then you kind of get into like that that groove of whatever you're doing, that flow state that we've talked about, and you don't let it get the best of you you
Now, see,
know
folks, that's where Lizzie and I differ. This key concept. She'll say, "Well, then what you do is you get into that state of mind to be functional, to be more calm." And to me, that still sounds like flipping a light switch on, and that's where I get lost. So let me give you, I guess, an example. People, I'm sure many of us will experience this. They think that thing called stage fright, and you go on stage, and the audience, the lights, the kids, whatever it may be. And for many people, the immediate thought is once they freeze this, I want to run off stage so I can hit the bathroom quickly. So how does one? And to me, it's not turning a switch on. So what would be maybe a first step that person might be having
Well, I
that
think
stage fright
again,
moment?
it's a choice. I mean, it's, you could run off the stage, or you're walking into a test, you could just leave, but that's not really going to get you where you want to be.
Yeah, I get that part.
So it's
Okay.
about, can you still move forward, even if you're sweating, keep sweating, and wipe the sweat off your face and keep doing what you're doing, and what you need to do.
But is there some baby step to get you
It's getting,
there?
it's like going, it's moving through that comfort zone. We want to stay comfortable, but nothing, you can't achieve anything, you know hard, unless you see that you can do a hard thing. So yeah.
I hear that, but I'm not seeing it yet. So what do I do? It's first I do
So again,
take
like,
take a deep,
take
slow
a deep
breath, or
take a deep breath. I mean,
or faint. Does
yeah,
that work
take a deep
sometimes?
breath. Take a moment to say, am I gonna, if I do even mess up, like appraising that situation, even if I do make a mistake, will I still survive?
Mm-hmm.
Other people have gone up there and not done a good job, and they survived.
Right.
That is this a matter of life or death? So really appraising that, like, situation, and again, practicing, like, when somebody, again, we've talked about this, somebody cuts you off in traffic, um, rather than you responding by being aggressive, you appraise and say, I'm not going to let that person affect me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's training yourself to be able to handle harder and harder situations. And so I mean, I think like with, stress is not equally distributed around amongst people. There's people that live in really stressful environments. And, I think it's understanding, what happened to people and what they're going through. And then teaching them some of these tools, like these breathing tools and
Mm.
other ways to manage that stress rather than, and understanding sometimes like with kids, why they maybe act out and why they do things that, um, behave poorly in situations. It could be because what they're not seeing at home, or they're living in poverty, or and understanding that what's happening to people, and having compassion and teaching them, going in and teaching them these things in
Mm-hmm.
schools, teaching them these ways to manage their, self-regulate their emotions, is something that I think is lacking, and I think it needs to be taught more. And I think it is starting to be, recognized that there's, that, what happens to people, what's happening in their homes, what's happening in their lives,
Right.
can affect their behavior, and understanding that and taking that, as with compassion, and with teaching them ways to cope. It's like coping mechanisms, and they may have what coping mechanisms which are not helpful. So
Mm-hmm.
recognizing that, and giving them the benefit of the doubt that they're doing the best they can.
Right.
So going in there and helping them, that's what I love to do, is to teach people, um, other ways to regulate that are better for them in the long run and in the
Well,
short
well,
run.
I understand the regulation part of it. I certainly understand the young child in an environment that may or may not be a healthy environment for them. I guess my focus is I'm an adult, no longer going to third grade school, waiting for breaks between classes to walk back and forth. I have my daily obligations and functions and likes and dislikes. And you mentioned road rage that a few moments ago. I guess I'll use that as an example. I'm on the highway, I'm driving. Somebody behind me decides I'm going too slow. Maybe I'm in the middle lane of 3 lanes or something, or the far left lane. I get sidetracked, whatever it may be. So they'll pull in front of me. Sometimes they'll quickly cut in. Luckily, they haven't yet braked hard. Thank goodness for that. Although I've had moments like that,
Hmm.
and then they slow down. So, okay, they're going to be below the speed limits. It's safe driving conditions. I'll circle around and again get in front, and we're doing a leapfrog thing back and forth. Now, I know I've seen situations where it's gotten very bad. Well, maybe mindfulness means at some point I say, look, as long as you're going faster than me, which is the speed limit at least, at worst, if you're going faster than the speed limit, then you're the first car that detective is going to pick up with the radar thing. So you'll be the
Hmm.
path breaker for me. And I'll kind of settle back and say, I don't mind driving behind as long as you're not going to slow down. So is that kind of a mindful approach or
Yeah,
not?
yeah. Again, that's like it's like taking an appraisal of the situation
Mm-hmm.
and pausing long enough to have a response that's going to have the outcome that you want, which is not getting in an accident. But on the other hand, we do have this beautiful stress response that keeps us out of danger. So that if he did slam on the brakes, you're gonna slam on your brakes immediately. So it protects us. It's just that when we, have that in like overdrive, and we become like worried about, crossing the street, and you're looking back and forth a million times, no one's coming, and you're still worried about getting hit by a car. So it's assessing the situations
Well, okay.
in a way that's, you're going to have the outcomes that you want, and choosing to, to maybe give the person the benefit of the doubt. Like,
Mm-hmm.
maybe that person, again, like we've said, needs to get somewhere faster than you, or maybe they have some trouble with driving, so they're making decisions, that are not exactly great. So you just want to just back up and get out of the way and go on your merry way, and not let it, affect you for the whole day.
Now I hear that, but another scenario comes to mind as I'm listening to you in terms of mindfulness conflict.
Hmm.
I'm sitting there watching a football game. I happen to like the Chicago Bears. Thumbs up for that, anybody out there. Although they're miserable as a team. But having said that, I want to watch the game. And maybe it's the playoffs. I'll raise the stakes.
Hmm.
And it's in the into the third quarter and 2 yards out. I won't get into the details. It's a tense situation that I've got to watch. And at that moment, my wife wants to sit on my lap and kiss me in the middle of the game. Now, I've got mindfulness. I've got a dilemma there. So how does one get? I don't want to disrespect her, but she's disrespecting my game of the
Well,
Chicago
again, I mean
Bears.
that's about boundaries. That's a boundary issue. It's like, we got to know each other's boundaries. So, like, I think that's probably not the best time for her to come and sit on your lap.
But
For
but
sure.
but,
And you
but,
need to let her know. You
but
need
I
to.
thought mindfulness was on me, not the world around me. And actually, I bring it up, not that particular scenario, but sometimes it may be hard to make a distinction of them at the moment of how to activate mindfulness than how to apply it. And we kind of
I
twit our
think,
into.
yeah, but I think again, it could be for another discussion, talking about boundaries and talking about internal boundaries, external boundaries, and and I think, again, it's a real, I think it's a really, actually, I've learned that with mindfulness and with what I've learned and teaching people about boundaries, about what they want to accept, what works for them within their relationships and with their friends. Like, I have a rule: don't come to my house without calling and
Mm-hmm.
knock on the door. Like, that's a boundary.
Now, is it okay if they call from the cell phone 2 steps outside the door? Does that work?
They can, and then I have the right to say this is not a good time,
I
or
see.
say come on over. And that's a boundary is really steeped in mindfulness. And, like, I might be busy and involved in watching a games, for example, or doing something that's important to me. So I think that's a great topic for another episode.
Folks, you heard it first, hot off the frying pan or hot out the oven, however that goes. So that will be our next topic. And something we've not really done before is discuss our next topic. So maybe that should be part of our agenda. So boundaries. Do they exist? And if they do, to whose advantage or benefit, and how to handle that? That's maybe 3 topics all in one breath,
All
perhaps.
right, I like it.
So we're a minute over our curfew, almost, at least 30 seconds worth. Folks, thanks for joining us. It was fun. And please leave your comments with us, with your friends, and let's engage next time around. We do audit, by the way. If you comment after the program, we do audit those comments, and we'll try to bring them into the program. If not, through the program next coming up, either Lizzy, more likely, or myself will get back to you with a response. So long,
Stay well,
folks.
stay well, everybody. Thank you.